Okay. So 12 students at the lunch table, 2/3 ordered a hamburger. 2/3 ordered a hamburger. So, and then half of them ordered a hamburger with cheese. Okay. So who didn't order a hamburger? If 2/3 did, then that means 2/3 of 12 is 8. And the 1/3, the last 4 did not order a hamburger. Okay. So now we're left with these 8 students. And how many put cheese on it? Half of the students that ordered a hamburger. How many of these are going to get a C on it? Half of them. So how many? 4. Half of 8. Okay, so half of 8 got cheese. All right, what fraction ordered a cheeseburger? What fraction ordered a cheeseburger? 1/3. 1/3 of the students. 4 students out of 12. 4 out of 12, which simplifies to 1/3. Okay? What is half of 2/3? Half of 2/3. Half of 2/3. Well, if I have 2/3 and I take half of it, how many? 1/3. 1/3. Okay? So this is actually a multiplication of fractions, right? It's 2/3 times 1/2. And the answer is 1/3. How do you get 1/3 from this? How do you multiply fractions? Across the top and across the bottom. You don't cross multiply. You don't multiply these. No, not cross multiplying like this. Okay, that's the most common mistake that people make. They're like, oh yeah, cross multiply. No, you do not cross multiply. You multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. Okay, so there's all the answers to that. To multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. Why is that? Multiplying the denominators makes the pieces, the smallest pieces of both of them connected together, basically, okay? And then multiplying the numbers of pieces is what happens across the top. All right, so the rules, because you're going to have positive and negative fractions here. Remember the rules for positive and negative, same as the rules for regular whole numbers. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. Okay? So you just have to apply that rule at the end. Multiply your 2 fractions and then figure out whether your answer is positive or negative. Okay? So here we go. 1/2 times 1/3. Do I need common denominators for these? Multiplying? Do I need to make this 6 on the bottom of both? No. You do not need common denominators to multiply. You need common denominators to add things together so the pieces are the same size. But when you're taking a fraction of a piece, you can just multiply. You don't need a common denominator. So you multiply straight across 1, and you multiply straight across 6, and your answer is 1/6. If it's a whole number, what do I do with this 2? In order to multiply, Kathy? Put it over 1, right? So any whole number, you can make a fraction by putting it over 1, which they did here. Then multiply across, -6 over 4. Okay, now a lot of times here, you're going to end up with fractions that can be simplified as your answer. So now there's a way to avoid this, which we'll talk about on the next slide, which is right here. Okay. Actually, the thing that you can do before you multiply across the top and across the bottom to make your answer simpler and to make the multiplication simpler is to what is called, I call it cross-reducing. Okay, so when you are multiplying 2 fractions, if you look at the numerators or any number of fractions, if you look at the numerators and the denominators and they are both divisible by the same number, they have a common factor. like when you're simplifying fractions, right? 2 and 8 are both divisible by 2. So you can change these. You can divide a top number and a bottom number by the same thing to make the multiplication easier. So typically it's written like this. You cross this out and change that 2 to a 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So what you're doing here is dividing both the top and the bottom by the same number. So this one is divided by 2, and this one is divided by 2. And that's where the 4 and the 1 come from. Okay? So this now becomes 1/7 times -3/4. Now you multiply straight across. Signs are different, so your answer is -3/28. Positive and negative signs, well, it doesn't matter here that you put them on the numerator. Just use the rule when you multiply the fractions. Okay? So, 3/5 times 1/2. Can I cross reduce in this problem? Is there an option to cross reduce? 3 and 2 or 5 and 1, are they divisible by the same number? No. Okay, so no cross reduce on this one.
Cross reduce.
Okay, cross reducing means when a numerator on one fraction and a denominator on the other are divisible by the same number, you can make them smaller.
What do you
We'll
mean?
show you in the next example. Not yet, no, this example. Okay, so you just multiply straight across. 3/10, done. Simple. Why these are the easiest problems. Okay, multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. These are both positive, so this is a third grade multiplication problem. Okay, if you have a whole number, you need to change it to a fraction.
I'm confused.
Go ahead.
Me?
You have a question, Olivia?
I'm just confused on how you're doing it.
You're confused on what I'm doing?
Yes.
All right, well, you'll have to watch the video later when you're practicing these.
Ah.
Unless you get it as I go through the rest of these examples. You have to have two fractions to multiply. Okay, so 2/3 times -4, I have to change this -4 to -4/1. -4/1. Can I cross reduce? No. So neither of these have cross reducing options. So I multiply straight across and I multiply straight across and I get 8/3, and it's positive times negative. Signs are different. So in multiplication, that means the answer is negative. Can you leave this answer like this? Yes, if it's not a real world problem, okay? But the book will always change this to a mixed number, which is 2 2/3, right? 3 goes into 8 2 times, which is 6, and 2 left over, okay? But if you leave it like this for me, I'm going to say that's okay. All right? There's the work again. All right, letter C. You could, without thinking, you can always, for all of these problems, not cross reduce at all. Just go in there and multiply across and get big numbers, okay? Or in this case, get 21/21. Isn't so hard. Because 21/21 it's 3/21. Doofus. 3/21. Come on, knucklehead. I wish I knew how this board was, why this board does this. 3/21. Negative times negative, so that's positive because the signs are the same. Okay, I cannot leave my answer like this. This is an unsimplified fraction. It is wrong. It is not the right answer. Okay, it's the right number, but it is not the right answer because it's unsimplified. I could, instead of trying to simplify this, which sometimes these numbers can get very big and very hard to find common factors, cross reduce here because I noticed that there's a 3 on the bottom here and a 3 on the top here. They're both divisible by 3, which lets me change them both to a 1. 3 divided by 3, 3 divided by 3. Now when I multiply across, I get 1/7, which is my final answer, which is the same thing that this simplifies to, right? These are both divisible by 3. In some problems, these numbers, if you don't cross-reduce, can get very large and very hard to deal with, okay? All right. Multiplying fractions. Now, multiplying mixed numbers. Some mixed numbers you can do in your head. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that one right now anyway. Okay, so what we have to do instead, you cannot multiply mixed numbers. You can't. You try to multiply the whole number parts, multiply the fraction parts. It is a disaster. It's an algebra 2 problem, actually, to try to do it that way, because you have to do FOIL. But you don't know what that is. Okay, so you can't multiply mixed numbers. You have to convert them to improper fractions. You can always estimate what you think your answer is. A half times 4, my answer should be around 2. Half of 4 should be around 2. That's what they say right here. Okay, so then I change this to 4 times 5 plus 2, 22/5. So it's the same as 1/2 times 22/5. And with mixed numbers, you're going to end up with some large numbers, which is why cross-reducing is very helpful. 1/2 times 22 over 5, I recognize that 2 and 22 are both even, so I can cross-reduce by dividing both of them by 2 and getting 11/5 and 1 over 1. So that's my answer, 11/5, which, going back to mixed number, is 2 and 1/5. So again, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, converting from improper fraction to mixed number and mixed number to improper fraction. You have to do it for every problem here. If you are bad at that, go back and practice the IXLs on converting from improper fraction to mixed number. You need to be good at it because you have to do it for every problem that has mixed numbers that you have to multiply or divide. Okay? We're not going to talk about method 2 right now. Okay, so 1/4 times 8 and 4/9. Now, those of you that are math people, the mental answer for this one, 1/4 times a number is the same as dividing that number by 4. And so if you can divide this whole number by 4 and you can divide this fraction by 4, you could get that your answer is 2 and 1/9 mentally. You guys don't need to worry about doing that, but you could, okay? The estimate of this problem, 1/4 times 8, is about 2. My answer should come out to around 2. How do I do this? I got to convert this to improper fraction. You can't multiply mixed numbers. You can't multiply mixed numbers. You can't multiply mixed numbers. Why do you think I need to say this so often? Because people try to do it all the time. I've been doing this a long time. You can't multiply mixed numbers. You have to convert them. 76 over 9. 8 times 9 plus 4 times 1/4. Does 4 go into 76? You could use your calculator on that one if you wanted to. Well, 4 goes into 80, right? That'd be 20, and 76 is 4 less than that. So the answer is yes, it's 19 times 4. But you could do it in your calculator. 76 divided by 4, if you don't have a remainder, then that's what this becomes, right? So some of these can be, so you can divide the top, this is cross-reducing. Divide these two numbers both by 4, and they become 19 and 1. So now it's 1 over 1 times 19 over 9. So it's just 19 over 9, which is the same as 2 and 1/9. Exactly the same answer, right. Letter E you can do with mental math also. 3 times 5 and 3 times 1/3, 16. But that's okay. You kind of do this one, you do the number times the whole number and the number times like the distributive property, which have we learned the distributive property, the rainbow? We didn't do that in here yet, did we? Rainbow method? I don't think
No,
so.
we didn't.
Future unit. Okay, so this one I can't do like that. I mean, you could, but we're not gonna do that. We need how can everybody do it? Convert 5 and 1/3 to 16 thirds, and 3 becomes 3/1. Convert all your mixed numbers and whole numbers to fractions. Now I can multiply straight across. Can I cross reduce first? Yes, because you notice there's a 3 in the top and the bottom. This becomes a 1, this becomes a 1. 16 times 1 over 1 times 1, 16. That's easy enough. Last one. Oh man, here we go. Now this one's a hard one. Go ahead, do this one on your own. See what you get. Olivia, how we doing?
Let's just say I don't know what the heck to do.
All right, well, what's the first thing you have to do for this problem?
So, like, the butterfly method.
Nope, not across, not top times bottom, top times top and bottom times bottom. Okay, I've done it 6 times already in the lesson today.
But that doesn't make it smaller. That
You might have to. Oh, you're talking about cross reducing is done across. Okay, but you're dividing these numbers to make them smaller. So 15 and 5 are both divisible by 5.
Yeah.
Both divisible by 5. So when you divide them both by 5.
Okay.
3.
Divided by 5, you get 1. And 15 divided by 5, you get 3. This is negative, so it's negative 3. 12 and 8 are both divisible by 4. Maybe you divide them by 2, and then you realize you have to divide by 2 again. Okay, if you divide them both by 4, they become 3 and 2. So now I have negative 3 over 2 times negative 3 over 1, which negative times negative is positive. So the answer is 9/2, which simplifies to, or change to a mixed number if you want to, back to 4 and 1/2. 4 and 1/2. All right, that's multiplication. There's probably a real world multiplication problem on the next page, which I'm going to skip. And there's guided practice, which I'm also going to skip. And we're going to go to the next lesson,
I can pull up.
which is dividing fractions. You've done this before. You did all that multiplication stuff we just did. You did that in 5th grade and 6th grade, multiplying fractions. Not with positives and negatives. That's the only thing different this year. Okay? So, dividing fractions. I'm going to skip this sort. All right, DeAndre here has 3 oranges. 3 oranges, and each one is split into 4 parts. Each orange is split into 4 parts. Okay? Yeah, so I just did draw them, right? Draw them like that. 3 oranges split into 4 parts. Okay? So, why is it 3 divided by 1/4? What does that drive me to say dividing by 1/4? Oh, divided evenly into fourths. That's confusing. Never mind, I don't like that at all. Okay? All right, when you divide by a fraction, how many times does a fraction, a small number, go into a bigger number? Your answer is going to be bigger than the number you started with. Okay, how many times does 1/2 go into 2? 4 times, right? Because, it goes in 2 times into the first one and 2 times into the second one. So dividing by a fraction, a proper fraction, gives you a bigger answer. Okay, the way you do it mathematically is to change the division to a multiplication and flip the second fraction. Kind of like subtraction, where we did same, change, change. In division, we do keep, change, keep, change, flip, keep, change, flip. Flipping a fraction means take the numerator and make it the denominator, take the denominator and make it the numerator. Okay, that is called the reciprocal. When you flip a fraction, 2/3, the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. Okay, a reciprocal is what it's called, or the flip of the fraction. So you keep the first fraction, you change the division to multiplication sign, and you flip the second fraction. If it's not a fraction, you have to make it one. So 5 is the same as 5/1. So 1/3 divided by 5, 1/3 divided by 5 is the same as 1/3 times 1/5. Okay, and if you think about this, here's my 1. Okay, and here's 1/3. And if I divide this 1/3 into 5 equal parts, if I divide 1/3 into 5 equal parts, this is my answer. 1/3 divided by 5, and this is 1/15 of this whole circle. 1/15. 1/3 divided by 5. So this one is obviously dividing by a big number, not dividing by a fraction, right? 1/3 divided by 5 is the same as 1/3 times 1/5. Keep, change, flip. Positive and negative divisions, same as positive and negative multiplications. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. The signs are different, the answer is negative. Three-fourths divided by negative 1/2. Keep, change, flip. 3/4 times 2/1. Keep, change to multiplication, flip the second fraction. Can I cross reduce? Yes. Because 2 and 4 are both divisible by 2. That makes a 1. 4 is divisible by 2, makes a 2. So 3 times 1 over 2 times 1, 3/2. Positive times negative, so it's negative 3/2 or negative 1.5. And again, you can change these to, this is kind of like 1 divided by 2, maybe, or 1 divided by 1. The answer should be about 1, not something strange. 3/4 divided by 1/4. Well, this one should be, you could do in your head. How many 1/4 can I put into 3/4? How many 1/4 are there in 3/4? 3. Right? So now just like common sense, if you think about what division means, the answer to this is 3. But you could just write it down if you see that, okay? But if you can't, then we'll keep, change, flip to make it 3/4 times 4/1. Keep the first fraction, change the division to multiplication, flip the second fraction to 4/1. Cross reduce because I have 4s on the top and the bottom. So I can make them both 1s and multiply across, and I get 3/1. 3/1, which is 3. Keep, change, flip. That's division. Keep, -4/5. Change division to multiplication. Flip the second fraction. This one flips to 9/8. So it's 4/5 times 9/8. Keep, change, flip. Cross reduce. And I'll say, oh, I forgot to cross reduce. And I get 36/40. That's okay. You just have to simplify this. 36 and 40 are both divisible by 4. So this comes out to 9/10. It's okay if you don't cross reduce. You just have to reduce at the end. Okay? And always remember, because this is 7th grade now and not 5th or 6th grade, that you might have positives and negatives that you have to apply those rules. So this answer is -9/10. -9/10. What's the next one? Go ahead and work that one on your own. 1 1/4. -5/6 times -3/2. Keep, change, flip. Cross reduce if you are so inclined. Cross reduce. That's a 2. That's a 1. And I get 5/4. Negative times negative is positive. And 5/4 simplifies to 1 1/4. Not simplifies, changes it to a mixed number. Okay? All right.